Okay, so over the past few days there has been an absolute metric ton of new information released for Cataclysm, most of which came from a special press event that they held at their offices in Irvine. Now, if you haven't read up on all of this yet, I highly recommend you go and do so. My preferred place for the information is our good buddies over at Wowhead. They have a whole ton of information compiled. It's just really fantastic. Go over and read it over. If you go in their community section, you just go to wowhead.com. Up at the top there's a little thing that says community, and you click where it says news and blog. You might actually be there already if you're watching this. It's just a possibility, but if not, go there and check it out. Just scroll down a little bit and there's just a ton of information on Cataclysm there. You're going to want to read that before I go any further. All set? Great, okay. Instead of going through and just listing everything off again, because that would be really boring, especially since I just told you to go read everything. That wouldn't make any sense. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is just give my commentary and insight and just my general thoughts on everything that was announced at the press conference. So, I'm going to start with probably the biggest and most controversial thing that was listed there, because starting out big is always good. So let's talk about Paths of the Titans. This has been completely scrapped. It no longer exists. Basically what they're doing instead is they're adding a medium glyph slot that just kind of sits between major glyphs and minor glyphs as just this sort of not quite completely 100% mandatory, but does cooler things than what minor glyphs do. So that's interesting. I still like that they're adding something in there. The removal of the Paths of the Titan system, basically the reason that we were given for it is that they couldn't find a way to make it engaging and solid and not just another glyph system on top of the current glyph system. They were having a whole lot of trouble finding a way to actually fit it into the game, which if it doesn't fit into the game, I am absolutely 100% behind taking it out, because the last thing World of Warcraft needs is something that just kind of gets shoved in and spliced in there and go, okay, also you want to do this. That would not be fun or entertaining in the slightest. So I am 100% behind the decision if they just simply saying, okay, we can't do this, we can't figure it out. I'm cool with that. It is a little disappointing to lose it as a method of alternate character progression once you're at level 85, just because right now the way the game works, once you're at the level cap, you get gear, and you get gear, and you get gear, and if you don't feel like getting gear, you can go and get gear, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. Having that alternate method of just progressing your character and making your character stronger would have been pretty cool. That being said, World of Warcraft is coming up on, what, 6 years now that it's been around? It is an old game. If you go back and mess with some things, like, they're messing with a lot of stuff in Cataclysm, and messing with too much can just basically break everything. So, adding that alternate method of character progression at this point could just be too much for the game. So, once again, I am behind the change. If they say that they can't make it work, then I don't want them to try and make it work anyway. That just sounds like a really, really bad idea. Next up, let's talk about the quote-unquote removal of the guild talent system. This is one that I think has been blown completely out of proportion by the community at large, because it's not quite exactly what it seems. Yes, guild talents have been removed. However, all of the perks and the awesomeness of guild talents is still there. What's been changed instead is that now you get it by basically your guild levels up as you do stuff. And they gave a few examples, like killing X amount of raid bosses can give you a level, winning battlegrounds, completing dailies. There's all sorts of stuff that can go on that members of your guild can do to level up your guild. And that's basically the same as it was before, where you were earning talent points. The difference is now you don't have to choose between, well, do I spec a guild into PvE raiding, do I spec into leveling, do I spec into PvP, which removes a whole lot of potential guild drama. Essentially, instead of just saying you have to pick and choose between all of those, you just get everything. You get every single talent. It's just it comes at different levels depending on what level your guild is. And the potential drama that gets rid of is basically saying, well, okay, I really like these people that I'm playing with and I'm grouped with, and like months behind, my guild has 200 and some different accounts in it, like just different players. There's 200 plus different players in my guild, and we only have one 25-man raiding group. Like, the raiding is actually a very small part of what Months Behind is. It's a very important part, obviously, and the core of the guild is the raiding team. But there's all these other people that we hang out with and we talk to, and we just like having around, that are our friends and such, that if we stuck to, you know, a primarily PvE focus, those people would be inclined to go and leave and join like a PvP guild or a leveling guild if you're leveling an alt or something. They would just be encouraged basically by the game mechanics to go and join these other guilds, and that's not fun. That's not cool. I don't want to have to tell my people, sorry, we're a PvE raiding guild. If you want to do Battlegrounds, you're just going to have to go hang out with some different friends, basically. That would suck. I like some of the people in my guild. Now, on top of that, we have the guild reputation system, which is pretty interesting to me. There was this whole guild currency thing that they were talking about before that I honestly never really completely wrapped my head around. There was a whole lot of information on it, but it was just kind of jumbled and spread around, and I couldn't really get a cohesive idea of what they were trying to do with it. But with the new information that's come out about the guild reputation system, it seems to make a lot more sense. And the guild reputation system basically replaces the guild currency system. Basically the way this works is you can do stuff in a guild, an individual player inside of a guild can do stuff that increases their reputation with the guild, much like you might increase your reputation with Ashen Verdict or Knights of the Ebon Blade or whatever. So you rep up with your guild more or less, and you join the guild, and okay, I've been running heroics and I get reputation. I've been killing raid bosses and I get reputation. I've been doing Battlegrounds, whatever it is you're doing, all sorts of stuff. Playing the game earns you reputation with your guild. As you continue to rep up with your guild, you get access to more and more interesting items. Now, what this is really interesting to me, and what I would really like to find out, hopefully pretty soon. I mean, beta can't be too far off at this point. But anyway, what I would like to find out about this is whether or not guildmasters can control at which reputation levels with the guild you get certain rewards. So for example, if I could say, okay, well, I want everybody that has killed X amount of raid bosses with me to have a special tabard that shows off that, yeah, I am one of the cool, awesome raider dudes of Months Behind. I am fantastic. Check me out. I'm walking around, and there's other people that are in Months Behind, they're friends, and they're cool and everybody. They're wearing the Months Behind tag, but I've got this tabard that says I'm awesome. That would be really cool to me. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the 25-man downshifting system. If you're unfamiliar with exactly what it means, because it was a little confusing in the write-up that I read, but basically what it means is that you can take your 25-man raid and split it up into up to 3 different 10-mans. Now keep in mind that you cannot be clearing both a 10-man and a 25-man in one raid week in Cataclysm. You're locked to one or the other. This is just basically converting your 25-man into a 10-man. Also keep in mind that the 10-man will be dropping the same exact items as the 25-man, it's just relatively fewer of them. So, the idea seems to be that you have your 25-man guild, everybody shows up for Tuesday Loots Day, and then, maybe your another couple days, but then you get around to your last raiding day of the week, maybe Monday rolls around, and you still got a couple bosses in there left to kill that people just aren't showing up for some reason. Maybe it's just a bad week, but people just aren't showing up. What this lets you do is then take your 25-man raid and split it up into 10-mans so that you can say, okay, well, we've got 20 people here. Let's just split this into 2 10-mans and we can go in and clear everything out. We'll get a couple less drops overall, but I mean, if it's one boss, it's going to be like 1 or 2 drops that you miss out on. And it's the same items that are dropping, so you still get a chance that somebody's going to get that item that they really desperately need. So that's pretty cool. It also helps alleviate a whole lot of the problem of, well, 25-mans are harder to organize, so nobody's going to want to do them. When, it's basically like, if you've got 25 people, you might as well go and do the 25-man, because if it doesn't work out and you can't finish it out in the rest of the week, you can always just downshift it to a 10-man and finish it out from there. So, that is a really cool concept. The one thing I think that they need to be really careful of, particularly in terms of encounter design when they're working with this system, is making sure that you don't need radically different groups in 10-man. As opposed, you don't need, like half of your 25-man needs to be able to go in and actually do the 10-man version of the instance. So for example, say you have an encounter, this is actually pretty common in Icecrown Citadel, you'll have an encounter in 25-man that requires 2 tanks, and then it also requires 2 tanks in 10-man. Sindragosa, for example, takes 2 tanks in 25-man, takes 2 tanks in 10-man. So you either need to have 2 people in your 25-man raid that have an off-spec tank set, which is, fairly common, or the encounters need to be designed so that it just scales up directly, and in 25-man you need 4 tanks for Sindragosa for some reason. I don't know, maybe there's 2 of her running around. I don't even want to think about that. Okay, so I am completely 100% out of time for this week, so thank you very much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter if you'd like to. It's www.twitter.com/devolore. I don't put anything too annoying in there most of the time, so don't worry too much. Go ahead and follow me and check that out. Also visit me at tankspot.com. If you want to get a hold of me, send me a private message by the name Lore on Tankspot. And that's going to be it for this week, so thank you very much for watching. I will see you later.